Hi, I'm Natalie, and this is the first episode of what I will be calling spontaneous knitting. Mostly because I have fits of when I want to start knitting, and sometimes I'll knit, and sometimes I can go months without knitting, and I'll skip to crocheting, and maybe I'll make a crocheting knitting thing, just put it all together. But for now, we'll just get straight into the knitting part. So first, right now I have a work in progress, which is made with sugar and cream yarn. It's 100% cotton, which is kind of different for me because I don't usually use anything other than acrylic. But lately I've been trying to use more natural fibers or non-polymer based fibers because of how bad I learned acrylic is for the environment. So yeah, it's 100% cotton, and it's this color called, I think it's country stripes. Right now I'm just using a beginner's free pattern I found on Ravelry, but so far it's turning out pretty nicely. I mean, my stitching's kind of uneven, and I don't have any sophisticated gauge. I don't usually use a gauge specifically. I just sort of knit how I feel like. But it's turning out pretty nicely. I've already turned the heel, as you can probably see, and it fits the pattern that I'm using. I'm following it completely how it says to. I usually adjust it a bit, but this one, it fits. I could fit it over my ankle, so that's fine and dandy. And it's just this really pretty, like, it first starts out with like a teal, and then it goes into sort of a, I don't even know how to call this one. Kind of reminds me of my grandpa's carpet when I was young. It's kind of seafoam green. Then it moves into this, first thing that comes to mind is like key lime pie. So yeah, and then it turns into a sort of sky blue right there on the yarn. And I'm excited to start working on this again because last night I started it and it was going pretty well, but then I've been knitting a lot lately, hence spontaneous knitting, because I just have these fits of wanting to knit. And so I finished turning the heel and I started to put the two sides together, like the heel and the ankle, but it's sort of, my mom described it as beginning of carpal tunnel, and I guess I didn't like stretch my hands out enough or something. My wrists started to ache, and it wasn't like this shooting pain or anything, or it wasn't like, it just kind of hurt. So I stretched it out a bit and I put it on ice because I want to knit. I want to be able to knit later, so I'm gonna hold off on that for a while. But yeah, starting this sock with country yarn, or country stripes. And the thing about this yarn is it's my first time buying cotton yarn, and it's pretty nice, but when you first start using it, when I first started using it, I started to think that it was kind of waxy and stiff. I'm hoping maybe that'll go away when I clean it, but yeah. So also I have this sweater, my first sweater that I will have ever knit, with Caron Simply Soft. It is in the color berry blue, and it's pretty nice. I mean, it's soft, it's kind of silky. I wouldn't expect it to be acrylic because the first time I used acrylic, or the first time I started knitting, I was using Red Heart Super Saver, the really scratchy yarn, and that you have to wash a few times before it gets soft. And that was just kind of hard to work with. It was kind of annoying. But this is really nice. It glides off of my circular knitting needles pretty nicely. And sorry, I have all my yarn kind of mixed up. But I've been working on this for about a week, maybe. And so far I've done the body and I have to weave in all the ends too. But I've done the body, and I've done one of the sleeves. I sewed up one of the sleeves, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be able to see the little increases and decreases I did, but I think that's just going to have to stay how it is. Yeah. So I don't know if I'll really be wearing this to school, but I just decided when I saw this color at Michael's, I just really wanted this color because it's so pretty, and I love Simply Soft, but sadly it's acrylic, so I probably won't be using it much anymore. Each one is about 315 yards, and I've already gone through 2 skeins of it. And I'm kind of hoping that next time I will be able to plan ahead so I won't have to make 3 trips to Michael's to get all the yarn. But, I use these these handy little clips that I got like 5 years ago when I first learned to knit, and I wasn't really sure what they're for, but I guess they're for holding stitches so that you can like avoid them, and that's where it came in with the sleeve. You had to hold 44 stitches on the side. And I'm using a pattern on a blog called What to Knit When You're Expecting, or What to Knit When, I think it's a blog spot, but it's really nice. And I actually have 2 sizes of them. One of them is red, the smaller one is blue. And the red one was a lot nicer because it's kind of hard to hold 44 stitches on this blue one. But yeah, so Caron Simply Soft Berry Blue. It's completely acrylic. It's a medium weight. So I was actually afraid that my gauge was going to be completely off because I don't usually check the gauge. I don't actually know how to use a gauge, but I bought a gauge checker the other day, so I'm going to try testing that out and seeing how much work it's going to be, and I guess it'll make my knitting a bit more consistent, and I'll be able to tell how things work a bit more and how I'll understand knitting more. But yeah, so I'm working on the second sleeve, which I will still have to sew up when it's finished. And I'm just using a basic mattress stitch to put all the sides together, so I flip it inside out and like put a seam along the inside edge right here. So I think I have about 35 more rows on this sleeve, and then I'll just sew it up and I'll be done. And I've probably been working on this for about maybe a week, and it's been really great. I've worked on it. I'm pretty slow compared to some other knitting podcasts and blogs I've seen out there. They're finishing like pairs of socks and scarves and blankets, quilts, and shawls every few days or once a month or something. But 1 week I've been working on this non-stop because I've had all of summer to basically get back into knitting. But yeah, so I think it'll be pretty nice. I don't know if I'll actually wear it, but I hope I will, because I'm just really proud of when I finish a knitting project. I think it's a lot of fun, and sometimes I get people come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh, did you make that?" And I'm like, it's kind of strange having someone come up to you complimenting you on something that you made yourself, because it's one thing if you bought it at the store, but if you like put this fabric together, it's all by yourself. It's kind of exciting to see when people get excited about it too. It's kind of like if someone came up to you asking if you like Harry Potter because of your shirt, and you're like, "Yes, I love Harry Potter." But knitting's definitely great because people can appreciate it even if they don't like knitting either. So yeah, that's my sweater. And over here I have my yarn that I got. I don't know why. I kind of decided that when I first knit my first pair of socks, I used a completely wrong size of needles. I think it was like 3 sizes too big. And so the next time I went to Michael's, the local chain craft store in my town, I decided I'd get this. I I didn't want all my socks to match for some reason. And that's sort of because I'm watching Criminal Minds, and one of the actors, he always wears different colored socks together. So I bought one skein of this sock that I showed you earlier, the Country Striped Sugar and Cream one. And then I also got this color of Moon Dance. I think this one's going to turn out great because I just picked a bunch of colors that I really like. But this one, it seems like it's a bit less stiff, but I don't really see how that is because it's basically the same type of yarn. And then I have this green one that I wanted to pair with this purple one. This one is Black Currant, and this one is Maud Green. I don't really know what Maud is, but I think these will look great together because no one's really going to see my socks, but I think they're going to be really comfy, even though I'm going to have to put extra time into hand washing them because my mom is kind of afraid to put all my knit things into the dryer and washer, especially since they're cotton. Does anyone know if cotton yarn will shrink in the washer or dryer? If so, if you could tell me, that'd be great. Because I'm kind of new to like getting onto all the, I'm getting away from all the basic knitting stuff. And, sorry, going back to the sweater, most of it I knit using the continental style knitting, which is my first time because I usually knit English style and it's just a lot faster to use continental style knitting. But it's kind of hard when it comes to purling because I'm still learning how to do the purling way. But I was taught using English. So this probably could have taken 3 times longer were I using English. But yeah, continental is great. I was inspired when I saw videos of speed knitters online. I was like, how do you knit faster? How do you knit so fast? But yeah, so I have these 3 other colors of yarn that I am excited to use in the future to knit socks, and they will all be like mixed matched. Maybe someday I will make another sock in each of these colors so that they have their own pair in just that color. But the size needle I'm using now is a size 5 of double point knitting needles from the company Boy, I don't really know, but it's a size 5, US 5, 3.75 millimeter, and I think it's just aluminum, but yeah, aluminum and double point knitting needles. I've just learned how to use them when I knit my first pair of socks that was way too big, and I gave those to someone who has very large feet compared to mine, because I have some pretty small feet, small to average feet. But yeah, he has bigger feet than I do. And I have these blue aluminum double point needles. They're really great. The yarn slips off of it when I need it to and when I'm slipping stitches off, but the stitches stay on when I let them go. And then the other thing I got was a size 5 pair of, I guess these are both anodized aluminum, and this one is circular knitting needles, 3.75 millimeters, US 5, and it's 29 inches circular needles. And so I'm excited to use this because there's a pattern I want to make. It's called, I think it's an Acorn Ridge pattern. Can't remember which company put it out, but it's really nice, and I'm hoping to try cabling because I've never tried cable before. So this is basically a knitter's vlog, a beginner's knitting vlog. So yeah, that was my first sweater. I'm doing my second pair of socks. And then this is also by the company Boy, B-O-Y-E. And then also by Boy, because they're just the cheapest one at the store I go to, is I got the Count 10 Plus. It's a needle check stitch and row gauge that I'm hoping will really help me because I have a lot of knitting needles that I don't know what size they are, so I'll be able to tell what size that is, and then I can make swatches now, and I can make sure I have the right gauge so that all my sizing will be the correct size. So yeah, and there's one more thing I want to ask. I don't know if anyone's really watching this, but if you are, if you knit, am I the only one who keeps a spare crochet needle in their bag and an extra ball of yarn? Because there are a lot of times when we finish class early and there's nothing to do, like they don't have any assignments for us. They'll look at me like, what is she doing? And I'm just like, I'm kind of going through knitting or crocheting withdrawals, and they're like, oh, okay. So I always keep yarn or floss. I keep floss in my bag too, because it's kind of strange to carry around scissors. So I just use a little sharp edge of you cut the floss off from the dispenser. I don't have it right now, but you know, floss dispensers, they have a sharp edge where the floss cuts off from the rest of the roll, and I usually use that instead of scissors to cut my yarn. But tell me if you guys keep an extra crochet needle. I usually do. What improvised yarn supplies do you have in your bag? Yeah. Well, thanks for watching. I don't know if anyone really is watching, but see you next time. Bye.